Hey, it's Akurios once again, and I'm coming at you from my studio, Silum 7 Music Studio. And today we're going to be doing something slightly different from the usual. Today we're going to be considering the inner workings of our just released song, High. We're going to be looking at the instrumentation, looking at my approach to the production, and we're going to be tackling some of the things you may not have noticed while listening to the song earlier. Now, if you haven't listened to the song till now, please go over to my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and follow all the links and go stream, go download, go listen, whatever. Just do all you can to listen to the song. And you can also go to my YouTube, Akurios, and watch the lyric video so you can learn the song and sing along. Alright, so let's head into the song and see what's going on. Okay, so we can start listening again from the chorus section just to refresh our ears. I lift you higher. I lift you high, high, high. I gotta worry more as an emema. I lift you high, high, high. It's sing and do more on an again. I bless your name, oh Lord. I bless your name, oh Lord. Yeah. Okay, so we've listened from just before the chorus to the point just before the verse begins, and that's basically the high point, or the what is called the main melody of the song, which is the chorus, which everybody usually learns quicker than every other part. All right, now let's look at all the instruments in the song and what the song holds in terms of elements. Now, we have a total of 16 background vocal tracks. Now, 16 background vocal tracks. I'm a vocalist, so I like playing with vocals. So we have 16 background vocal tracks, and we have, of course, the lead vocal, the most important element of the mix. And we have 11 guitar tracks. We have 6 electric guitar tracks and 5 acoustic guitar tracks. Now, notice that everything doesn't come in all at once, all through the song from beginning to the end. No, you can see that there's some points where there's nothing in some of the tracks. For instance, this acoustic guitar here has nothing all the way from beginning to the second verse. It just comes in at the second verse. So that's to create some, interest from at different points, so that at this point you have nothing, and at a certain point of the song, it just comes in and it creates that interest, and you're like, oh, what's going on here? What is this? What's this new sound? And then you can appreciate it more. Okay, so we also have horns. We have 3 horns tracks. We have trumpets, we have saxophone, and then we have trombone and tuba at the bottom there. And we have 5 keys tracks. We have the piano, the organ, the pad, which I really like the sound of. We have the synth, and we have the vibe, which I also really like. And then we have the bass track. It's the same bass track, it's just duplicated, so we can treat each one differently to achieve what we want to achieve in the bass mix. All right, you can see from the EQ curve, there's a difference in the treatment, and I'll talk more about that later in a later video. And then we have 5 tracks of percussions also, and you can see the same interest factor that I'm talking about plays out in the percussions also. Nothing, something, nothing, something, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we have, of course, the conga. We have the wooden blocks and gongs. We have shekere. Who doesn't like some shekere? We have shakers. And then we have this track I call ear candy, which is just a couple of elements I throw in at different points to create some interest, and to also, create some kind of abstract feel. Okay, in between sections of the song, to serve as a transition of some sort, like this reverse crash does exactly that before the chorus. You can listen to how it sounds here. Okay, it's a reverse crash. And then we also have our good old drums, kick, snare, hi-hat, toms, 4 channels of toms, separated from the general overhead mix. And then we have, of course, I'm treating them differently. I'm treating them in a tom group first before sending them to the general drum group. And then we have overheads. We have the drum room track. And then we have this track, which is a track I usually, introduce into my drum mixes. It's the original drum track that comprises all the drum elements bounced to audio without any processing whatsoever. And that is to achieve some parallel kind of treatment so that I can bring it under the general drum mix, for some heft and oomph. And you can see that the volume is very low, but it's underneath there, just giving some energy and some, pump. All right. So, and that's about it for all the elements of the mix: the drums, the percussions, bass, keys, horns, guitars, acoustic and electric, lead vocal, and then background vocals, and then the rest of the mix. Now let's look at one of the things, or how the song started in the first place. Now, I tried to achieve an abstract kind of sound by starting with this lovely synth pad sound. And then closely followed by the organ. And then piano. And then also, I like how the bass comes in. Okay, so when you listen to all this, you see that at first it sounds like, oh, something abstract, something different from the norm. And then when the rest of the music, the drums, the percussions, the horns, the keys, everything comes in, you can now tell, oh, this is where the song is going. Okay, now, and then by the time we get to the verse, we say, oh, now we understand what's happening. I also want to show you what I did with the guitars in recording the guitars, the electric guitars, the main electric guitars. Now, if you listen at this section, what I did was I recorded both the dry electric guitar signal of my Extreme electric guitar. It's a Fender Stratocaster knockoff. And I recorded both the dry signal, and that same signal passed through my my guitar amp here in the studio, my Pearl SG032, and so I could get both the dry signal and an amplified signal of the same guitar for both the left channel and the right channel. So this is what the dry signal sounds like. Dry, no processing whatsoever, straight from my guitar into my console. Okay, and this is what my guitar amp sounds like. No processing, just straight through the amp into my console. Now, if you listen closely, you can hear the spring reverb from the amp, because the amp introduces a spring reverb also into the guitar, spring reverb, which I really like. Okay, it's the SG032 1x12 guitar amp, and I really like the sound of that spring reverb, which it also includes. All right, now let's put both the dry signal and the amp signal together and listen. And now with the processing on the dry signal. You can see how it comes through the mix more. It's processed in such a way that the guitar comes forward more and better. It's easier to identify, to recognize in the mix. Okay, so let me take you to the transition between the last pre-verse and the refrain. Now, we did something as a musician with jazz background and all that. I like syncopations. I like altering the regular beats. I like instrumental choruses. I like lines and playing with all those instrumental lines and all that. And it's just part of my background, and I like to incorporate it into every music I write and every music I produce. Not every time. There are times that it's not really called for, but as much as possible, when it can be introduced, I do so. She's also too good, oh, yeah. Now, that particular line ends with a 4. Now, you may listen to that line and say, "Oh, what's a 4 doing there?" Now, the 4 is uncommon. I mean, it's not supposed to be a 4, technically speaking, but it's it's a 4 because it's telling you that something is coming after this. This is not the end of it. This is not the end of the song. Hold on, hold on. There's something coming. Hold on. All right, now, and we have the refrain, the Igbo parts, the famous Igbo parts everybody's liking. And talking about that line, let me take you out to the outro of the song where the song ends. And you listen to another line which is very similar to the line we just listened to, but there's a small difference. Now, I'm sure you can tell that the difference is that it's no longer the 4 that ends it, it's a 1 that ends it. And that 1 means we're home. That's the end. Oh, song over. We're done. Home. Thank you. So you can tell that there's a difference in how we use lines, chords, phrases, and all that. All that is just to introduce some disparity, some interest in the song. This calls for this, and that calls for this, and this responds to this, and that responds to that. All to make the song dynamic and have a feel. Different emotions, passing across different emotions, passing across different ideas throughout the song, because it's art. Okay, so at this point I hope you're going to go back to the song, to our song, Hi, and listen to it again. Watch the lyric video, like it, share it, subscribe to my channel, and I would really appreciate that. All right, so learn the song and listen again to the song, and hopefully you would appreciate all the things that I've mentioned in this video. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate your audience, and I'll see you again. I'm Akurios, coming to you from Silum 7 Music Studio, and I'll see you next time. I'm out.